Will Beyond Good and Evil 2 live up to the original Beyond Good and Evil? That's what we're trying to figure out as we analyze everything that has to do with the original game. As always, leave your thoughts in the comments down below or join the community and discussion over on the Reddit page. Don't forget to comment mentioning something that you loved about vehicles from the original game. Hello, fellow Space Monkeys, this is the Mildly Morose Man, otherwise known as Dan or Dan the Man, whichever you fancy. I'm here to bring you another thought-provoking video on the video game Beyond Good and Evil 2. Be sure to subscribe if you want to stay up to date on all things Beyond Good and Evil 2. This is part 2 of our analysis on vehicles in Beyond Good and Evil. We have already covered vehicle exploration, progression, and variety in part 1 a couple of weeks ago. I won't be mentioning those elements too often in this video, so if you missed out, you might want to take a look at that video as well. In this episode, we will be looking at vehicle gameplay and ownership. Be sure to stick around if you want to see if Beyond Good and Evil 2 will live up to Beyond Good and Evil in this category of vehicles. Beyond Good and Evil is a game that has so many different gameplay mechanics, and all of those gameplay mechanics come together in a beautiful video game salad. They all fit together nicely, but you can recognize each part as a unique experience. There are a lot of different gameplay opportunities when you're exploring the waters of Hillis. There are looter caves to explore, races to race in, and combat to engage in all along the way. Looter caves are caves around Hillis that contain criminals or corrupt cops. When a player enters one of these caves, what looks like a police vehicle will drive in and take a certain amount of units from you and drive off. You can tell that these aren't just cops because of the skull and crossbones found on the hood of the car. At that point, you've entered into the best part of the minigame, the chase. There are 4 of these looter caverns in Hillis, and they are numbered 1 through 4. I found that each one gets a little bit more challenging. You will encounter lasers and mines and closing doors. After tripping the electrical line, you only have a short amount of time to make it through the next door. And if you don't make it through, or you die along the way, the looter steals away with your credits lining his pocket. If you make it through the final door, passing all of these challenges, you get to destroy the looter's vehicle, take your money back, and receive a pearl that the looter happened to be carrying on this little escapade. If you can catch the thief, getting mugged actually pays off in Beyond Good and Evil. A similar minigame can be found in the city and the slaughterhouse. That's right, we're talking about racing. There are 4 races in Beyond Good and Evil, 2 in the city and another 2 at the local slaughterhouse. And these pan out exactly like you would expect. You and 7 other racers are speeding bumper to bumper, taking 3 laps around a race course that exists who knows where on the planet Hillis. During the race, you are able to shoot other boats, which cause them to spin out for a moment. You are able to use boost items during the race, and there are also boost pads at certain points on each track that are pivotal for record-breaking times. If you get 2nd or 3rd, you receive a small amount of units, but if you place 1st, you get another pearl and 1,000 units. If you break the overall record for the course, you get an additional 500 units, and Jade's name is displayed in the coup de bar on the panel beside the bartender. The last major area of vehicle gameplay has to do with combat. Most of the time, you will find that you just need to destroy some crates or blow up some mines with the blaster cannon on your hovercraft. But there are a few sequences throughout the game, even leading up to the final boss, that require some developed combat skills. If you don't want to see anything about late-game combat, you can skip ahead to the time listed on the screen. Like I said, most of the time I spent using the blaster early in the game was to snatch up units from crates floating in the sea. But there are 3 fights throughout the game that capture what vehicle combat is all about in Beyond Good and Evil. Right after leaving Mama Go's garage at the beginning of the game, Hillis is attacked by the Dobbs. A Terratosaurus Imperator is sent down from the moon to terrorize Hillis. This is the first test to challenge the player to drive the hovercraft while aiming at a moving target. This same type of creature is sent to Hillis again later in the game after getting the Beluga ready for space travel. And this poses a similar challenge to the player. Fly the Beluga while at the same time aiming at the alien dragon in order to take it down. Getting used to flying is more challenging than getting used to driving on the water. The flying controls never really felt great to me, but I got more used to them as the game drew to its final climax on the moon. It's on the moon that we realize everything that the game has been preparing us for in terms of vehicle combat. General Keck is given one more shot to take us down before we totally usurp the Alpha sections and uproot the Dom's conspiracy. The fight is on rails, so you can't really get lost too easily, and this is when flying felt the best for me. Throughout the battle, you have to hit certain weak points highlighted in red, and the players spent the whole game shooting at red stuff, so it comes across pretty naturally. There are different phases to the battle, challenging the player to react to different patterns of lasers and hazards as players try to take down General Keck's ship. General Keck puts up a good fight, but whoever built his ship put all of the weak points on the back where they could easily be shot by someone caught in the vessel's tractor beam. Whoever built that ship didn't want General Keck to succeed. Could this have been Mamago's? Anyway, it's a fun battle, and this is Beyond Good and Evil Space Combat at one of its best moments. So how does Beyond Good and Evil 2 measure up so far? Well, there is an unofficial summary of everything we know about the game so far that says races have been confirmed. That's great news, but it's all we know. Anything like looter caves haven't been confirmed. I'm sure there will be some kind of Easter egg that gives a nod to this experience. Almighty, over on the Reddit page, talked about the possibility of there being chase sequences or heists that could take place in the various cities across System 3, and that could be a good replacement for looter caverns in this new game. In terms of combat, the new game looks like it's only making great changes and developments to the original experience. We actually haven't seen any type of boat or hovercraft gameplay, so we haven't seen any combat from that perspective. But what we've seen in the air looks smooth, responsive, and tactical. If we take another look at the fourth live stream footage, we can see the players alternating between two different shots, a lighter, faster bullet shot, and a heavier missile attack. And that's similar to the blaster we had in Beyond Good and Evil. But we see that they are building even more strategy into new combat mechanics coming in the form of augments. I've talked about these elsewhere if you would like to check it out. But what's important here is that augments will provide even more variety to vehicle combat in Beyond Good and Evil 2. So there's a lot to vehicle gameplay in the Beyond Good and Evil DNA. But before we break down a final analysis of everything we know so far, I'd like to take a look at one more topic: vehicle ownership. Vehicle ownership was pretty simple in Beyond Good and Evil. We owned the hovercraft and that was it. If you ever died in the vehicle wasn't totally destroyed. It just meant you would encounter a game over screen and you would be brought to your last save point. Based on what we have seen so far, I wonder, what will happen if a ship of ours reaches 0 health in Beyond Good and Evil 2? Will the ship be destroyed forever? Will there be an option to rebuild or respawn the ship? This sort of issue highlights just how different the games will be. It also sounds like all vehicles can be driven by the player in Beyond Good and Evil 2. I think what this means is that you can steal or commandeer anything you see in System 3. It doesn't mean we will get away with it, but it raises the question, will we be able to obtain new vehicles by stealing them? I mean, it just sounds too easy. So I imagine there will be a system in place that would require players to clean stolen vehicles somehow in order to operate them anywhere near the police or other NPCs. It looks like we will acquire many vehicles over the course of the game, especially if our crew will be joining us on adventures around System 3, where they would need to fly their own vehicles as well. So will Beyond Good and Evil 2 live up to the original in the department of vehicles? I think so. Will there be vehicles in the game? Oh yeah. Are we going to be able to explore System 3 like we got to explore Hillis? You betcha. There's going to be races in the new game, and this shows that Ubisoft is concerned with making this game a true spiritual successor to the original. And the combat looks like it's stacking up to be an awesome development of what was in Beyond Good and Evil. But we still haven't seen a hovercraft or any sort of water-based combat. So there are many things that we don't know, like how will vehicle progression take place and will it be tied to the story? Will there be anything like Mamago's Garage in System 3? Will some form of looter caves return? What we can say now is that vehicles are headed in a great direction for Beyond Good and Evil 2. Let's continue to ask the question whether Beyond Good and Evil 2 is going to stack up to the original as we learn more about vehicles and everything else in the game. Let me know if I missed something important about vehicles from the original game. And don't forget to comment about what you loved about vehicles in the original game. Drop a like if you enjoyed the video at all, and a dislike if you didn't. Thanks for watching, and be back for the next one if you want to stay up to date on all things Beyond Good and Evil 2.